Hello, my name's Sean O'Leary. I'm Joint Chief Executive here at St Christopher's, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this year's Remembering with Ribbons service. 2021 has been a difficult year, following 2020, which for many of us has thrown up all sorts of challenges that we would never have foreseen. Despite that, my colleagues, staff and volunteers here at St Christopher's have carried on providing services and caring for in excess of 5,000 people in the last year. This is one of our opportunities to bring you on site with us via film to remember people that you've lost, who you loved or who mattered to you. And we hope this service will be of some comfort and connection for you. I'll now hand over to my colleague Andrew Goodhead, who will lead the service.
Hello and welcome to St Christopher's, and especially welcome to our Remembering with Ribbons event 2021. You've come today because, of course, you've dedicated a ribbon on one of the trees in our gardens here at Sydenham or at Caritas House in Orpington. And you've dedicated a ribbon because you want to remember someone special, a relative, family member or friend who for you will never be forgotten. Your conversations with them pop into your mind. You think of them every so often. There is a love which you hold for them in particular, even after a long period of time perhaps from their death. Over the last few weeks, you've come into St Christopher's to dedicate your ribbon by putting it on the trees in our gardens. And we've taken some time to speak to some of those family members who've come in, and you'll hear some of those conversations in just a moment. We've also spoken to some of our staff members, and you'll hear their thoughts on this important event for us as an organisation. Later in this short event, you'll hear a piece of poetry written by Mike in memory of his wife Dee. And it's very important to us that we incorporate things like that into this event. It is those memories, those really tangible and important moments of people's lives that we are here to celebrate in a way, to remember in every way, and of course always to hold as part of our organisational responsibility for you, our community. As we move into some of those clips of video, I'd like just to read a piece of poetry by Samuel Butler. I fall asleep in the full and certain hope that my slumber shall not be broken, and that, though I be all forgetting, yet shall I not be all forgotten, but continue that life in the thoughts and deeds of those I have loved. And now as we move to see a piece of film about our family members and from some of our staff, that will be encapsulated. No one is ever forgotten.
It's great to have an opportunity to remember. I obviously work here at the hospice, and going through looking at some of the names on these ribbons, it reminds me of the wonderful people that we've been able to support, to help. It reminds me of some of the amazing characters that we've met along the way. And so just to remember them and reflect on the personalities that we've lost, that we've loved, is just very special.
It's nice to be able to come and hang the ribbon on the tree and see it blowing in the wind. I've done it, this is the second time I've done it now. It's almost like the fact that they're blowing in the wind, you know. My husband used to sit over there under the thing, and it's almost like it's getting to him there, you know. Yeah, it's just very special. It's a very special place all round here.
It's a and I know everyone says a celebration of life, but when you do think about your loved ones, sometimes you don't feel like a celebration, you just feel the sadness, don't you? Or it can be tinged with sadness. But this is lovely, and you can't look at these things and think, oh, poor
you can't help but
so-and-so.
Even though you know that every single person on here is remembered by somebody because they died, it's just such a lovely thing to look at.
for me and Sam and all of us as a family. St Christopher's is a very, very special place, and these remembrance services and the snowdrops and everything that they do are so important to keep our memories alive, but actually to keep alive St Christopher's and keep it going for everybody who needs it. It's so important.
We're going to hear a piece of poetry now, written by Mike in memory of his wife Dee. The poem is called Who Knew? And this is Mike reading for us.
My name's Mike Raggett, and my wife Denise Leslie was a patient at St Christopher's in 2016 and died here shortly after Christmas that year. For 3 years I was able to mitigate my grief by being abroad and spending the day she died wrestling with boarding cards, returning hire cars, finding my passport, all that kind of distracting stuff. But in 2020 there was no such escape because pandemic lockdown rules were in place, and instead I thought long and hard about our life together and sat down and wrote this poem. It's called Who Knew? Who knew you could live so long with a broken heart, from the time when death tore it and us apart? My love, my wife, my soulmate, the other half that made me whole, brought back to life a faltering soul. Art, music, sport and walks, the buzzing excitement of inspiring talks, the many things we did together and now done alone or with others. But there's not the same intensity, the density of joint exposure, the sudden jolt of recall of the time before when, do you remember? I do, but I miss her not knowing too. Struggling up hillsides, getting lost in the woods, finding quaint city backstreets with artisan goods. Together we travelled at home and abroad. With a book, wine and sunshine, we could never be bored. But now my feet tread a solo path, brooding on death's harsh aftermath. But still my half a heart is joyful for the time we lived and loved and had more fun and joy in our years together than many others will ever know. Our years together may be over, but memories, those glittering jewels of which I'm blessed with shoals, they flash and dart to pierce my gloom, bringing shafts of light like a curtain drawn in a darkened room. Skipping to the Sardana in a Catalan square, going to Chiba for a painting that's no longer there, communing with Thoreau as we walk Warden Pond, plaiting daisies with children in Painam Nagar, swimming serenely in a shimmering pool, responding to music with shivers of joy, grasping each other at a coup de théâtre. Cool-headed, decisive, saving film shoots from disaster. Her ready smile and infectious laughter are with me forever, sustaining, delighting, keeping me together, the light in my gloom. Thank you, Dee. Thank you for sharing your life with me.
You've heard the words of Mike's poem, written in memory of his wife Dee. The words that he wrote and spoke for us today may resonate with you and your experience of bereavement and loss. You may find that your experience was different, but nonetheless it is important because it is unique to you. We're going to come together now, just for a moment, for a time of reflection. And in that, I'm going to allow just a few moments of silence. There's not enough silence in our days or in our lives. And at an event like this, when you remember that you have written a ribbon which has been dedicated on the tree, when you are here to remember one person or a number of people, some silence matters because it gives you time to draw into your mind those you wish to remember, to give thanks for them, to remember something special about them, and of course always to hold on to those memories and to the love which you feel for them. And so now, for a moment, silence in reflection. I'd like to conclude that moment with a piece of poetry. Written by Khalil Gibran, it's called On Death. I use this quite frequently at our Thanksgiving and memorial services, so you might remember it if you came to one of those some time ago. But within this piece of poetry, there's something very significant about the meaning of death, but also, of course, about our own bereavement and what it means for the person who has died to finally find freedom. And part of remembering is also letting go as we hold on to memories. So these words of Khalil Gibran. You would know the secret of death, but how shall you know it unless you seek it in the heart of life? The owl, whose night-bound eyes are blind unto the day, cannot unveil the mystery of light. If you would indeed behold the spirit of death, open your heart wide unto the body of life, for life and death are one, even as the river and the sea are one. In the depth of your hopes and desires lies your silent knowledge of the beyond. And like seeds dreaming of the snow, your heart dreams of spring. Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate to eternity. For what is it to die, but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun? And what is it to cease breathing, but to free from the breath from its restless tides, that it may rise and expand and seek God unencumbered? Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you have reached the mountain top, then you shall begin to climb. And when the earth shall claim your limbs, then you shall truly dance. Thank you for joining us today at Remembering with Ribbons. It's been good to have you with us, and please do remember that at the end of this event you will see the names that have been asked to be dedicated scrolling on the screen. So if there is a particular name that you have dedicated and you're able to take a screenshot, please do that. This event will be put onto our YouTube channel and other places, our website, so that you're able to watch it again if you would like to do so. Because there may be family members and friends who weren't able to join us today, who would very much like to be a part of this event, but in watching it retrospectively. Thank you for joining us. Please continue to support us. We rely on your support for so many things. And of course, in response, we want to ensure that you have all the opportunities that are available to remember appropriately those you love. Thank you for joining us today, and goodbye.
Oh